Chosen one, there are things you have just touched that cause even all of heaven to cover them with mysterious silence. Not because God is surprised, and not because he does not know what is happening, but because this moment is too sacred to be diluted by hurried words. I, Michael, stand beside you in mercy and solemnity to remind you that what is spreading through the unseen realm right now is not a small reaction to a temporary decision of yours. It is a movement prepared through many layers of time, through seasons you did not understand, through losses you once thought were only pain, through closed doors that made you believe you had been abandoned. There is an ancient word called kairos, and you need to understand it in stillness. Kairos is not time measured by a clock, nor is it the passing of days on a calendar. Kairos is the appointed time, the moment when things that seemed disconnected are suddenly placed in their proper position. When what was sown in secret meets the right season to rise. When what once felt delayed is no longer a delay, but proof of perfect arrangement. You have lived in that flow longer than you realize. Though many times you called it by other names: failure, separation, rejection, silence, misdirection, or waiting too long. But beloved child, none of those things were meaningless. The people who left you, the connections that ended, the promises that failed, the places that seemed ready to open but instead closed firmly before you, none of them were outside the hand that has been adjusting your path. I know there were times when you were hurt because you did not understand why what you prayed for was being held back. I know there were times when you wondered whether you had gone the wrong way, whether you had been forgotten, whether your endurance was dissolving into an emptiness no one could see. But what you did not see was this: each piece was being quietly moved, not only to bring you to an outcome, but to bring you to the exact time when you could receive that outcome without losing purity, humility, and peace. And now, you are standing at a sacred intersection. Not everyone around you can feel the weight of this moment, because not everyone has been given the ability to discern what is being formed in silence. So do not try to explain too much. Do not place your kairos into the hands of people who only know how to measure everything by outward speed or delay. What God is doing does not need the crowd's confirmation in order to become real. It was already real before you had the words to name it. Stand still in reverence. My child, what once broke you is being used to build a new alignment. What once seemed delayed is moving into position. What you thought had been lost is becoming the ground for what is about to open. This is not an ordinary moment. This is an appointed place preserved for you. Breathe slowly. Keep your heart pure. And do not tremble before heaven's silence, because sometimes that very silence is the sign that the greatest thing has begun to move. Something has crossed a boundary in the past 72 hours of your life. And even though you cannot yet name it, something inside you has felt that movement. Perhaps it came like a passing coolness over your skin, like a sudden stillness falling in the middle of a day full of noise, or like a faint dream so dim that when you woke, you could no longer remember the images clearly. Yet you still carried the feeling that something had happened. Beloved child, I want you to understand that not every sign comes with loud thunder. There are sacred shifts that happen very softly, almost privately. Yet their weight is enough to change the direction of an entire season of life. What you are sensing is not random, nor is it a passing surge of emotion that fades away. It is an awakening that has touched the hidden place within you, where old prayers are still being kept, where the tears you thought had fallen into forgetfulness are still remembered by heaven. I saw you in the late hours, when everyone else was asleep and you sat with your weariness. I heard the words you whispered at 3 in the morning, the unfinished sentences, the sighs that stood in the place of prayer, the moments when you wondered whether God was truly listening. He heard you, my child. His silence was not absence, but a holy covering, holding back something too great to be revealed hastily in words. Therefore, do not be afraid if the past few days have felt strange within you. Do not quickly assume you are imagining too much simply because you do not have clear evidence to place before other people's eyes. There are things completed first in the unseen, and only afterward do they gradually appear in your life with clarity. The change has begun not to confuse you, but to draw you out of the old way of understanding yourself. What you once thought was delay may be being rearranged. What you once called silence may be becoming the place where God prepares the answer. What you once considered loss may only have been His hand removing from you the things no longer pure enough to continue with you. Remain in this listening, beloved child, because I do not want you to pass through this moment lightly. What is opening will rearrange the way you see the things that happened. The people who left, the doors that seemed closed, and the very seasons in which you thought you had been forgotten. You do not need to understand everything right now. You only need to sit still in the gentle presence of God. Let your heart stop resisting. Let your breathing slow down, and allow peace to lead you into the next part. What has been set in motion does not need your fear, it needs your awareness. It does not need you to run in search of confirmation. It needs you to trust that the one who has walked with you from the beginning is still leading you where you need to go. In this holy silence, you will begin to recognize that nothing has ever left the hand of God, and your life is being placed back into His proper order. Place one hand upon your chest, right where the quiet rhythm of your heartbeat reminds you that something within you sensed before your mind could understand. Do not rush past this moment, beloved child, because there are things heaven does not begin with a resounding voice, but with a very small vibration in the place you thought was only ordinary tiredness. Let your palm rest there a little longer. Feel the movement beneath your skin. Feel life still calmly working within you. In the past hours, perhaps you have felt different without being able to explain it. Perhaps you have sensed a light pressure, a quiet fullness, a deep signal as though something were standing before an inner door and gently knocking. What I want you to understand is that what you are about to recognize is not a chain of vague signs for you to chase in confusion. It is more like a gentle map, made of markers that appeared within you before you had words to name them. There are doors that open in silence, and sometimes your body is the first place to recognize that change, not because you are weak, and not because you are too sensitive, but because you were created with the capacity to listen to subtle movements that outward noise often covers. Even so, always be gentle with yourself if your body is truly in pain, if you have difficulty breathing, or if something feels physically unstable. Do not neglect care or the help you need. Sacred wisdom never asks you to ignore your safety. The first sign is a feeling of fullness in the chest, like a light pressure beneath the collarbone, spreading through the space between breaths, sometimes feeling like heaviness, sometimes like a low, warm vibration that you do not know how to explain. You may have thought it was only stress, the after effect of days filled with heavy news, exhaustion from carrying too much inside, or an unnamed concern. I do not blame you for thinking that. When you are used to living in a state of endurance, you often call every deep signal pressure, every quiet preparation anxiety, and every inner shift something that must be shut down immediately. But listen carefully. Not every strong feeling comes to frighten you. Anxiety usually pulls you to run, pushes you to react, and makes you want to do something immediately to escape the feeling. Sacred awakening is different. It does not shove you into chaos, but invites you to pay attention. It does not push you out of peace, but leads you back into a deeper stillness. If what you feel does not make you rush to break everything apart, but only lets you know that something is drawing near, then keep your heart tender. Do not resist it with fear, and do not announce it too quickly with excitement. Stay in the rhythm of your breathing, and let me teach you to distinguish between the noise of pressure and the gentle call of preparation. So, beloved child, when that feeling returns, do not immediately treat it as an enemy. Place your hand upon your chest, breathe slowly, and ask in peace, what is being awakened within you? What is being brought into the light? What needs to be heard instead of avoided? I am near you in every quiet rhythm. I am not allowing you to enter a new season in confusion, but in pure recognition. And if you are willing to pause long enough, you will understand that this fullness is not meant to break you, but to announce that an inner door within you has begun to open. The fullness in your chest right now is not necessarily commanding you to act in haste, but inviting you to settle down and understand what has just been awakened inside. My child, I know that feeling can confuse you, as though there is a silent weight behind each breath, remaining even after you have tried to solve what you thought was the cause. You have reviewed words, circumstances, messages, memories, meetings, unfinished matters. You thought that if you could find the right problem and deal with it, the feeling would disappear. But sometimes what is vibrating within you does not come from an outward issue that must be fixed immediately. It comes from a deeper layer, where your whole being is recognizing that a sacred movement has touched a part within you that you have not yet clearly named. Slow your breathing. Beloved child, do not treat your body as a traitor simply because it is responding strongly to something you do not yet understand. There are languages not spoken with the lips, but written through heartbeat, breath, the slight vibration beneath the chest, and the feeling that an invisible door has just opened in a place you were used to keeping closed. Before you had enough words to explain fear, before you learned how to name sorrow, before you knew how to protect yourself with reason, your body had already learned how to remember. It remembers the times when you had to stay silent to keep the peace, the times when you became tense while waiting for a reaction, the times when you thought you had to control everything so you would not be hurt again. And now, as the Most High begins to loosen those old layers, the place that once held tension also begins to speak. That does not mean you are broken, and it does not mean you are going backward. On the contrary, there are times when healing does not first appear as immediate relief, but as a bell ringing in the hidden place, announcing that what has been held back for too long is being touched. That feeling behind the breastbone, where you sense tightening and then a gradual opening, can become a holy region of recognition if you do not fear it too quickly. I am not telling you to ignore wisdom or dismiss signs that need care. I am teaching you not to let panic steal your ability to hear what peace is trying to whisper. There is a great difference between the alarm of fear and the vibration of a place being unlocked. So place your hand upon your chest gently, as though telling yourself that you no longer have to fight alone. Let the breath go in slowly and out slowly, and let that fullness become not an enemy, but a sign that something within you is being awakened from old numbness. I am near you in every quiet rhythm, guarding you from hurried reactions and leading you into a peace deeper than anything you could create for yourself. What is vibrating is not here to break you, but to announce that a part once sealed is learning to open under the gentle light of the Father. The second sign often comes as a sudden shiver, passing through you in a very brief moment, yet long enough for something inside you to know that something sacred has just come near. You may be in a completely ordinary place, with no ritual, no music, no unusual light, only the familiar kitchen, a seat in your car while you are stopped in traffic, or the edge of your bed when your eyes are beginning to grow heavy. The air is not colder. The door has not opened. The curtains do not move. And everything around you remains still as before. Yet, from the back of your neck, along your spine, or across your shoulder, a gentle tremor suddenly passes and disappears, so quickly that your reason cannot grasp it, but your heart has already registered it. Beloved child, I do not want you to take those small signals lightly. Not every touch from heaven comes with a loud echo or a sign that shakes the whole room. There are times when a higher presence passes through your ordinary life with a very fine breath, a gentle vibration, a fleeting feeling that makes you stop for a few seconds and ask, what just happened? That very moment of wondering is part of the invitation. It does not come to frighten you, nor to confuse you, but to remind you that you have not been left alone in the places that seem most ordinary. From ancient times, people have recognized such vibrations in many different ways. Some call it presence, some call it the touch of the sacred, and some simply place a hand on the chest in silence because no words feel accurate enough to describe it. I tell you that when light passes through a familiar space, sometimes it leaves behind a very small echo, and your body, created with a more delicate capacity to sense than you may realize, can register that echo before your mind can explain it. Your skin reads what your eyes cannot see. Your breath pauses before what your ears cannot hear. Your whole inner being recognizes a nearness that language has not yet named. That does not mean you must chase every feeling, nor does it mean you should turn every small sensation into a hurried conclusion. I teach you wisdom, not delusion. Observe with peace. When that shiver comes with a clean feeling, with a settling, with a gentle reminder that turns you toward what is good, then honor it as a trace of nearness. Heaven is not as far from you as loneliness once made you believe. The Most High does not stand somewhere beyond reach, watching you from a cold distance. He can come so near that his presence touches the space around you and leaves a sign upon your very body. So the next time that shiver passes through you, do not panic, and do not ignore it too quickly. Pause for one breath. Breathe slowly. Place your heart in quietness, and ask what is being brought to your remembrance. Perhaps you are being comforted. Perhaps you are being awakened. Perhaps you are simply being shown that you were seen in a moment when you thought no one knew you were there. I am near you in those gentle signs. And I remind you, sometimes even a very soft vibration can be heaven's way of saying, I am here, very near you. The third sign often comes at night, when you suddenly wake in the deepest quiet before dawn. And that awakening is not like ordinary sleeplessness. My beloved child, perhaps you open your eyes around 3 or 4 in the morning, or at a very quiet hour when every sound in the house has settled. The room is still dark, the air almost motionless. Yet inside you there is a strange clarity. You are not panicked, not pushed into a spiral of anxiety, not sitting up to check what you have forgotten, and not pulled into heavy thoughts like on many weary nights. You are simply awake. You are aware. You are present in that moment, as though a gentle hand has touched something within you and said, listen. In moments like that, you may notice that your thoughts become slower, softer, no longer crowded or chasing one another the way they do during the day. The space between each thought grows wider. Your breathing becomes clearer, and without effort, you can sense life moving through you in a very quiet rhythm. I want you to distinguish this from nights when the mind is disturbed. Sleeplessness usually carries tension, urges you to look at what is negative, makes you more tired the more you think, and makes you more restless the harder you try to rest. But this awakening carries a different mark. It is quieter, clearer, almost as though care is hidden within it. It does not pull you downward, but lifts you into a place of clarity that is difficult to touch during the day. Because when the sun rises, life pours too many calls, too many responsibilities, and too many signals into you that must be filtered. Understand that there are very delicate doors of awareness within you. During the day, those doors must stand among the noise of the world, the words of others, duties, news, concerns, and familiar reactions, because they must filter so much. They easily miss the gentlest movements of guidance. But in the deep hours of night, when everything settles, those doors become softer. Things that waited all day can finally pass through. A reminder, a feeling, an invitation to return to peace, an understanding that you could not force yourself to receive through logic. That is why I do not want you to fear these awakenings. Do not quickly pick up your phone. Do not hurry to fill the silence with sound. And do not turn that moment into a confused search. Lie still or sit up gently. Place your hand upon your chest. Breathe slowly. And speak to the Father with simplicity that you are listening. Some of the clearest words do not come in the middle of a crowd. But when you no longer have to perform, no longer have to defend, no longer have to explain yourself, in those silent hours, the Father does not wake you to make you more tired. He wakes you to place you back into a deeper rhythm of peace. Let the night watch become a gentle room where you are reminded that you have not been forgotten, that guidance is still present, and that there are things that can only be heard when the whole outside world has finally agreed to be quiet. Pause with me in this moment. Beloved child, not to hurry and pour more words over the silence, but to let what has just touched you sink deeply into the place that has quietly waited a long time to be awakened. You have walked through a journey much longer than what other people can see. You have continued breathing through weary seasons, remained in circumstances where even you once wondered why you had not yet let go, held on to faith when those around you viewed that faith as naive, difficult to understand, even unreasonable. But I tell you that not one breath from those days has been taken lightly. Not one time you chose to remain upright has been forgotten. And not one quiet tear has fallen without heaven seeing it. So inhale very slowly, then exhale gently. In that very stillness, another door begins to open before you. It is not only the door of what is coming, but the door that lets you look back at the years that silently formed you. Before you can understand what is being released, you must recognize what has been shaped in the hidden place. There were seasons when you thought you were only waiting, but in truth, you were being trained. There were years when you thought you were being held back, but in truth, depth was being built inside you. There were silences you saw as delay, but in the eyes of the Most High, they were preparation for a greater support. Remember Joseph, a young man carrying dreams too large for the room into which he was born. What was placed upon him was not small, so much so that even those closest to him did not know how to receive it. They did not understand, so they resisted. They could not distinguish calling from pride, so they allowed jealousy to lead them. Then he was sold, taken to a foreign land, forced to live under the roof of someone who did not belong to him, forced to work in silence in a place that did not resemble home. After that, he was falsely accused, pushed down into darkness, and forgotten for years, as though the original promise had dissolved into the dust of time. But my child, in those years without applause, without confirmation, without a radiant sign returning to remind him that the dream was still alive, Joseph was still being preserved. His waiting was not meaningless emptiness. It was the place where character was refined. Faithfulness was tested through loneliness, and the capacity to govern was formed before authority was given. There are things heaven cannot entrust to someone who only longs for glory but has not yet learned endurance in hiddenness. So if you are in a season where the promise seems silent, do not quickly conclude that everything has ended. Perhaps you are in the very place where the deepest preparation is happening. I am reminding you that those years are not against you. They are testifying that you are being carefully prepared. Stand still a little longer. Breathe slowly a little longer. And let your faith continue without needing a loud sound. What has been placed in the hand of the Most High will not be lost just because you had to wait longer than you expected. Waiting in a dark place is not meaningless delay. Beloved child, often it is the room where you are prepared to become steady enough to step into something greater. I know there are seasons when you look back and your heart sinks, because everything seemed still for too long. You prayed, hoped, kept yourself from collapsing, but the door still did not open. The promise still had not appeared, and those days sometimes felt like an empty space dropped out of your life. But I want you to hear this with tenderness. There is no moment the Father allows you to pass through that He cannot use to form you. There are thrones that cannot be given to someone too hurried. There are responsibilities that cannot be placed upon shoulders not yet trained in patience. And there are blessings that, if they arrive too early, would confuse you instead of upholding you. Remember the one who was placed in a low position before he stepped into a place of honor. He was not prepared by applause. but by quietness. He was not shaped first in the palace, but in the years that seemed forgotten, in the place no one could see. Wisdom learned how to stand firm. Faithfulness was tested through long days, and the heart was cleansed of the need to be recognized immediately. If power comes before you are formed, it can cause you to stagger. If elevation comes before you have a foundation, it can make you lose softness and peace. So when the Father allows you to wait, it is not because he has turned away, it is because he is quietly measuring, adjusting, and rebuilding within you so that what is about to be placed upon your life will not break you. You can sense very clearly that something in this season has changed. And I confirm to you that this feeling is not imagination. There is a new weight upon your prayers, a new depth in your voice, and a quiet but powerful presence walking with you into places where before you passed through unnoticed. The words you speak now no longer fall as lightly as before. They touch people's hearts in a different way, causing some to be lifted up, some to fall silent and think, and some to feel unsettled because they do not understand why one sentence from you can shake what they have tried to hide. You have wondered whether you were exaggerating, but I speak to you with tenderness. No, you are not exaggerating. The signal within you has grown stronger. The flame within you has grown brighter, and the atmosphere around you is beginning to respond to what heaven has quietly cultivated in you. If you are hearing this with tired eyes, with a heart that feels both empty and full at the same time, then let me place peace upon you. You thought you had been emptied because you gave too much, loved too much, prayed too much, endured too much, and still had to keep standing when very few saw the price you paid. But what you call depletion is not always loss. There are seasons when heaven is not taking from you, but placing into you in a way you do not yet understand. Every time you continued walking while tired, every time you chose gentleness while misunderstood, every time you kept your heart upright when you were not treated fairly, all of it became a quiet accumulation in the deepest place within you. The past seasons were not only trials, beloved child. They were places where invisible treasure was deposited. The pressure you felt did not come to crush you, but to crack the old shell around the seed within. A seed cannot open if it has never been pressed by soil, never carried the weight of darkness, never lain still while no one applauded its growth. And now, what endured pressure in silence is beginning to move. Sweet fruit is forming. A stream of strength is running through places that once felt numb. Clarity is finding its way back into your words, your gaze, and your choices. So do not take lightly the change that is happening. When you step into a room and the atmosphere becomes different, stay humble, but do not deny it. When your prayer carries more weight than before, be grateful, but do not be afraid. When others respond more strongly to your presence, stand firm in gentleness. I am teaching you to carry strength without becoming hard, to carry fire without burning anyone, to carry light without needing to prove that you are light. What is growing within you is the result of many hidden seasons, and now you will learn to guard it with peace, awareness, and sacred maturity.